What if I told you that the moment you think it's over is actually the moment your real life begins? What if I told you that the very breakdown you're facing, the betrayal, the failure, the loss, the rejection, is not the end of your story, but the birth of your fight? You see, life has a way of bringing you to your knees. It doesn't knock politely. It kicks in the door, shatters your plans, and dares you to rise again without a script, without applause, and without a guarantee that this time it'll work out. But let me ask you something. Have you ever been at that place where everything in you says, I can't? Where your soul is tired, not just your body, but deep in your bones, you feel empty. You stare at the ceiling at 2 a.m. and wonder, is this all there is? You show up, but your heart's no longer in it. You smile, but it's hollow. You function, but you're not alive. And that's exactly where comebacks are born. Not in the spotlight, not on the stage, but in the dark. In that moment when no one sees you, when even you barely recognize yourself, there's a quiet whisper deep down that says, get up. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not trending on social media, but it's there. And if you ignore it long enough, you'll convince yourself that the floor is home. But if you listen, if you lean in, if you dare to believe that maybe, just maybe, you were built for more than just surviving, that's when it happens. The shift, the fight, the rise. This isn't just a speech. This is your alarm clock. This is your reminder that your story doesn't end here, that your past doesn't define you, that failure isn't final unless you stop fighting. So let's get real. Let's get raw. Because today we are not here to feel sorry for ourselves. We are here to pick ourselves back up and keep going. Let's go. You're going to fall. It's not a possibility, it's a promise. If you're out there chasing something that matters, if you're pushing, trying, risking, reaching, then at some point, life will knock you flat. And here's the truth no one likes to admit: it's supposed to happen. The fall isn't a detour, it's part of the path. You can't grow without it. You can't lead without it. You can't rise without first learning how to get back up when everything in you wants to stay down. See, the fall is where character is revealed, not in the spotlight, not when you're winning. That's the easy part. But when it all breaks down, when the applause stops, when the people who said they believed in you disappear, that's when you find out who you really are. Falling hurts. It humbles you, it empties you out, it forces you to confront your limits, your ego, your fears, your weaknesses, and it whispers you're not enough. And in that moment, it feels real. It feels like maybe that whisper is telling the truth. You start questioning everything. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I should have never started. Maybe I should just stop. But listen closely. Failure is not your enemy. It's your instructor. That fall is a lesson wrapped in pain. It's the classroom of growth. And every person you've ever admired, every legend, every icon, every leader, they all had to meet the floor before they ever stood on a stage. Think about it. No one starts on top, they climb. And every climb comes with slips, missteps, and bruises. But what separates the great from the average isn't talent, it's resilience. It's that refusal to stay down. It's the decision to rise with dust in their mouth, blood in their teeth, and fire still burning in their soul. You see, most people get hit once and never get up again. They let that one rejection define them. They let that one failure write their story. They become emotionally paralyzed. Not because they weren't capable, but because they believed the lie that falling means you've failed. Let me tell you something. You haven't failed until you quit. You haven't failed until you surrender your future to the pain of the past. You haven't failed as long as you're willing to try again. You fell? Good. That means you were in the fight. That means you had the guts to risk something. That means you had the courage to step out of the crowd and say, I'm going to do something with this life. Falling means you were moving. It means you were alive. Some people spend their entire life sitting in safety, never falling because they never try, they never dare, they never stretch, they never taste pain, but they also never taste purpose. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather fall chasing a vision than live my whole life chained to the fear of what might go wrong. You were not designed to play small. You were not created to live on the sidelines. You were born to struggle, to rise, to fight, and to build something greater than what broke you. That's the blueprint of greatness. Let me paint the picture for you. Picture the child learning to walk. They wobble, they stumble, they fall hard, over and over again. But they don't stay down. They don't say walking isn't for me. No, they get back up. Why? Because that desire to stand, that instinct to rise, it's already built inside us. We lose it somewhere along the way. We get older. And now when we fall, we don't just feel pain. We feel shame, embarrassment, regret. We overthink it. We replay it. We internalize it. But let me ask you something. How many people have stayed down, not because they couldn't rise, but because they decided they didn't want to try again? Don't let that be your story. The truth is, falling is feedback. It tells you what doesn't work. It refines your focus. It teaches you who's real in your circle. It reminds you how badly you want it. The pain is not there to punish you. It's there to prepare you. You fall so you can learn to fight. You fall so you can learn to get back up stronger, wiser, more focused. And every time you get back up, you send a message to life itself. You're not breaking me, you're building me. You will not always land on your feet. Sometimes you'll fall flat on your face. Sometimes you'll feel like everything's caving in. But listen, even rock bottom can become the foundation you rebuild your life on. Don't waste your fall, don't hide from it, don't run from it. Own it, study it, use it, let it shape you, let it fuel the comeback. The world doesn't respect the one who never falls. It respects the one who rises anyway, the one who keeps standing when it's hard, the one who refuses to let the fall be the final chapter. So when you fall, and you will, don't ask why me, ask what now. Don't say I'm done. Say this isn't how my story ends. You're gonna fall, yes, but the climb isn't over, and your next step might just be the one that takes you to heights you've never seen before. So stand up, wipe the dust off, lock your eyes on the summit, and climb again. Pain, just the word alone, makes most people flinch. It's uncomfortable. It's messy. It shows up uninvited, and it rarely makes sense in the moment. But let me tell you something, most people never realize pain is not here to destroy you. It's here to deliver something to you. It's not the end of your story. It's not a punishment. It's not a life sentence. Pain is a signal, not a sentence. When you feel pain, emotional pain, mental pain, spiritual pain, that's life tapping you on the shoulder and saying, pay attention. Pain is your body's, your soul's, your spirit's way of telling you something needs to change. Something's off. Something needs to be healed, addressed, released, or rebuilt. And most people run from that signal. They numb it, suppress it, pretend it isn't there. But pain ignored becomes pain amplified. You can't heal what you won't feel. You can't grow through what you're trying to escape. That's why pain isn't the enemy, it's a messenger. And like any good messenger, its job isn't to make you feel good. It's to wake you up, to alert, to force you to slow down. Look around and ask, what am I supposed to learn from this? But here's the problem. We've been taught to see pain as a dead end. We've been conditioned to think that pain means we're broken, weak, or cursed. So instead of listening to it, we label it, we fear it, we tell ourselves, if I'm in pain, I must be doing something wrong. No, not necessarily. Sometimes you're in pain because you're doing something right. You're changing, you're shedding, you're breaking free from a version of yourself that can't go where you're trying to go. Growth hurts, healing hurts, letting go hurts, but none of those are signs that you're failing. They're signs that you're evolving. Have you ever worked out after a long time off? Your muscles ache? You can't walk straight the next day. That soreness, it's not injury, it's a signal. It's your body adapting, getting stronger. It's proof you're pushing beyond where you were yesterday. Emotional pain works the same way. When you're pushing past old wounds, when you're challenging your limits, when you're finally facing what you've ignored for years, that hurts. But it also heals. It breaks you down, only to build you back up stronger. There's something sacred about pain. It strips away your comfort. It quiets the noise. It removes the distractions. It puts you face to face with the truth about who you are, the truth about what really matters, the truth about who's with you and who's just around. When it's easy, pain is where your illusions die and your authenticity is born. You don't find your purpose on the mountaintop. You find it in the valley, in the nights when you cry yourself to sleep, in the moments when no one understands you, in the days when nothing makes sense, and you're still showing up, still trying, still breathing, still refusing to quit. That's where purpose is shaped. But the world doesn't teach us that. The world says be happy, be perfect, don't let them see you struggle. And because of that, too many people suffer in silence. They bury their pain and wear a mask. They say I'm fine when they're dying inside. And the longer you hide your pain, the heavier it becomes. You're not weak because you're in pain. You're human. And the sooner you stop judging yourself for feeling it, the sooner you can start using it. Because pain can be a powerful fuel. It can drive you to change. It can push you to improve. It can force you to confront what you've been avoiding for too long. Think about the most meaningful changes in your life. The decisions that shaped you. The shifts that transformed you. How many of them came from a place of comfort? How many came when everything was perfect? Almost none. Real change is born out of disruption. Real growth comes from discomfort. It comes from those moments when you hit your limit and realize you can't go back to who you were. Pain is not here to hold you hostage. It's here to hand you the key. It's the fire that melts away who you're not, so who you really are can emerge. It's the test that reveals your capacity to overcome. There are people who have been through more pain than you could imagine, and they're still standing. Not because they're superhuman, not because they're lucky, but because somewhere along the line, they made a decision. This pain will not define me. It will refine me. They stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, what is this pain trying to teach me? That's the moment everything shifts. You have that same power right now. You can either see your pain as a life sentence or as a signal that something greater is waiting on the other side. The pain you're feeling today might just be the push you need to finally speak your truth, to leave that toxic relationship, to change your habits, to take the leap, to fight for yourself in a way you never have before. The pain is not the end of you. It might just be the beginning of the version of you that doesn't settle anymore. The version of you that stops making excuses. The version of you that stops pretending and finally lives fully, freely, and fearlessly. So feel it, face it. Don't run, don't numb it. Let the pain teach you, shape you, wake you up. Because once you realize that pain is a signal, not a sentence, you take back your power. You stop surviving, and you start rising. There comes a point in every person's life where the pain gets loud. The wounds, whether emotional, mental, or spiritual, start to speak louder than the dream. You look at your goals, your ambitions, your plans, and you wonder, what's the point? Because truth be told, you're tired. Tired of fighting battles no one sees. Tired of carrying weight that no one acknowledges. Tired of showing up for life while part of you feels like it's already quit. And in that low moment, that fragile, silent place, you either surrender to the wound or you reconnect to your why. Your why is the reason you started. It's the fire that got you moving when you had nothing but vision. It's the reason you get out of bed when the alarm feels like an insult. It's the heartbeat behind your action. But here's the truth most people miss. If your why is not bigger than your wounds, you will give up. Because the wounds will come. Oh, they're coming. Life does not give you purpose without a price. You will be betrayed. You will be doubted. You will be misunderstood. You will fail. You will lose things and people you thought you couldn't live without. You will face moments where your heart breaks in ways words can't explain. That's not negative thinking. That's reality. But in those moments when the storm hits, the only thing that will keep you moving is your why. Not motivation, not inspiration, not a quote on Instagram, but a deep, unshakable conviction that says, I'm not doing this for applause. I'm doing this for something bigger than me. See, your why gives your pain a purpose. Without it, the suffering feels random, pointless, like you're being punished. But when you have a why, when you know what you're fighting for, the pain becomes a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. It becomes fuel, not fire. That consumes you. So the question is, what's your why? Is it your family, your kids, your legacy? Is it proving to yourself that you're not the mistakes you made? Is it breaking a generational curse? Is it building a life you were never handed? Is it becoming the version of yourself you used to only dream about? Because if you don't know your why, the wounds will win. If you don't know your why, you'll start believing the lie that it's not worth it, that you're not enough, that the struggle means stop. But you didn't come this far to come this far. You didn't fight through all those silent battles to give up now. You didn't survive what tried to break you just to stop at a scar. That scar is not the end. It's a sign you made it through. And if you made it through, you have a responsibility to go forward. You see, the wounds, they speak. They whisper things like, you're broken, you're not good enough, no one cares, you failed before, you'll fail again. And if you don't silence those lies with a stronger truth, they'll start writing your story for you. But when your why speaks back, when it stands up, when it says, I'm still here, I still matter, I still believe, that's when the shift happens. It doesn't mean the pain goes away. It means the pain doesn't control you anymore. You stop living in reaction and you start living with intention. You stop letting wounds choose your next move and you start letting your purpose do the driving. People often say they feel stuck, but most of the time what they really feel is disconnected from their why. They've been wounded so many times, they stopped dreaming, stopped reaching, stopped risking. They wrapped themselves in emotional bandages and called it being realistic. But let me remind you, realistic didn't get you here. Playing small didn't get you through what you survived. Something in you was always bigger than what tried to break you. It wasn't an accident. That was your why pulling you forward when you didn't even realize it. So now you have to feed it. You have to speak to it every day. When you wake up and don't feel like it, go back to your why. When you fail again and the old voices come back, go back to your why. When it gets hard, lonely, unfair, go back to your why. And don't just say it, write it, speak it, visualize it, feel it. Let it bring tears to your eyes. Let it light a fire in your gut. Let it anchor you when everything else feels unsteady. You know, because your why, it's not a cute slogan, it's survival. It's power, it's the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. It's the voice that reminds you, I wasn't built to quit, I was built to overcome. People will see your results, your highlights, your victories. But what they won't see is the why behind it all. The nights you held yourself together when it would have been easier to fall apart, the quiet prayers, the moments you wanted to walk away but stayed. That's the fuel, that's the root, that's what gives your journey meaning. So when your wounds try to convince you that you're finished, you remind them, I have something greater pulling me forward. You remind them that your purpose is louder than your pain, that your destiny is stronger than your doubt, that your reason is more powerful than your resistance. Your wounds are not the full story. They are just a chapter. But your why, that's a thread running through the whole book. That's a fire that keeps burning no matter what tries to put it out. You may be tired, you may be scarred, but you're not done because your why still breathes. To keep going, you have more in you than you think. That's not just a motivational phrase, it's a fact. But life circumstances and your own doubts have worked hard to convince you otherwise. Somewhere along the way, you started to believe the lie that you are limited, that you're only capable of what you've already done, that your best is behind you, that the world already figured out who you are and how far you can go. But that's not the truth. The truth is, most of us never tap into our real potential. Not because we don't have it, but because we stop before we find it. We stop at tired. We stop at scared. We stop at rejected. We stop at uncomfortable. And just past that point, the place where most people quit, that's where your strength begins. That's where the version of you that you've never met is waiting. The version of you that shows up when it's hard. The version of you that keeps pushing when there's no applause. The version of you that keeps going even when your own mind is screaming at you to give up. That version exists. It's not a fantasy. It's real. It's just buried under layers of fear, doubt, and hesitation. The mind is powerful, but it's not always your ally. It will lie to you. It will tell you, this is too much. You're not ready. Who are you to even try? And because that voice sounds like your own, you believe it. But your brain's job isn't to make you great. It's to keep you safe, comfortable. unchallenged, and greatness never lives in comfort. Think about this. How many times in your life have you said, I can't, and then been forced to? And somehow you did. You endured that loss. You survived that heartbreak. You rebuilt after that failure. You kept going when you thought you were done. That wasn't luck. That wasn't a fluke. That was strength. And it came from you. You think you know your limits, but you've barely scratched the surface. You were built to withstand pressure, to rise from failure, to adapt, to grow. You weren't created to live small, scared, or silent. There's a reason you feel restless, a reason your spirit isn't satisfied with just enough, because deep down, you know there's more inside you. The world doesn't get to decide your worth. Your past doesn't get to decide your capacity. Mistakes don't disqualify you. In fact, they refine you. Every setback, every disappointment, every time you were counted out, that wasn't the end. That was a test. And if you're still here, it means you passed. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not without scars, but you passed. That alone should tell you you're stronger than you think. You're more capable than you believe. You've got untapped levels of discipline, creativity, and resilience that haven't even been activated yet. But the only way to access them is to keep going. You don't discover your strength by avoiding struggle. You find it in the middle of it. And sometimes the only way to see who you really are is to be pushed to the edge, not because life is cruel, but because pressure reveals potential. You won't know how much weight you can carry until life hands it to you. You won't know how high you can climb until you're staring at a mountain with nothing but your willpower to lift you. But here's what happens when you keep showing up. You grow, not all at once, not in some perfect, obvious way, but over time, quietly, powerfully. You start to stretch. You start to see glimpses of that stronger you, that more focused you, that more confident you, and you begin to realize, wait, maybe I've been underestimating myself this whole time. And you have, because no one talks about the quiet wins. No one claps when you choose discipline over distraction. No one celebrates when you get out of bed while battling depression. No one sees you keeping a promise to yourself that no one else knows about. But that is strength. That's power. That's proof that you're capable of things far beyond what you've been told. So the next time doubt creeps in, remind yourself of what you've already overcome. You've been through nights you thought you wouldn't survive. You've stood back up after things that were meant to destroy you. You've kept going without a roadmap. You've shown up for others while silently bleeding inside. That kind of strength can't be taught. That kind of grit is earned. And don't think for a second that your story is done. You haven't even reached your peak yet. There are levels in you that haven't been activated. There's clarity, peace, power, and vision waiting to be uncovered. But you won't get there by playing small. You won't reach it by doubting yourself. You have to lean in. Lean into the discomfort. Lean into the challenge. Lean into the version of you that you know is in there, begging to be released. Yes, it will be hard. Yes, you'll be afraid. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to show up anyway, to move forward in spite of the fear, to rise even when you don't feel ready. You are not your failures. You are not your fear. You are not your past. You are potential in progress. You are a masterpiece under construction, and you have more in you than you think. So don't you dare give up on yourself. Don't you dare shrink to fit into other people's expectations. Don't you dare let the voice of doubt win the battle for your destiny. Stand up, speak up, show up. There's more in you. And the world needs to see it. Keep moving, even if it's ugly, even if it's slow. That's the part nobody likes to talk about. Everyone loves the highlight reel, the perfect transformation, the overnight success story. But real progress, real breakthroughs, they're messy, they're uncomfortable. They're built in silence and sweat and late nights and early mornings and showing up when you don't feel like it and doing the work when no one's watching. There will be days when you feel like you're dragging yourself through mud, when every step forward feels like a struggle, when you're not sure if it's even worth it anymore. And those are the most important days of your life. Not the days when it all goes right, not the days when you feel fired up and inspired, but the days when you're exhausted, defeated, discouraged, and you still choose to move. That's when something changes. That's when you stop relying on motivation and start building discipline. That's when you stop being someone who waits for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect mood, and you become someone who pushes through anyway. Because the truth is, you don't have to be perfect to make progress. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to look strong to be strong. Strength doesn't always look like power. It looks like persistence. It looks like crawling when you can't walk. It looks like whispering, just one more day, when everything in you wants to quit. We've all been there, that place where nothing seems to be working, where your effort feels invisible, where it seems like everyone else is winning while you're stuck in the same place. And in those moments, it's tempting to stop, to pause, to say, maybe I'll wait until I feel better, until things calm down, until the timing is right. But the problem is, waiting becomes a habit, and before you know it, you're watching life pass you by. You're stuck in your own head, convincing yourself that your next move isn't good enough or that someone else could do it better. And all the while, the only thing that's missing is momentum. Momentum doesn't come from big wins. It comes from small actions, tiny steps, imperfect efforts repeated over and over again. You don't need to take a giant leap, just move. Even if it's shaky, even if it's clumsy, even if you feel like a mess. Progress is progress, and ugly progress is still better than perfect excuses. Nobody talks about the grind it takes to change your life. The days you show up to the gym and your body's tired, but you go anyway. The nights you open your laptop and stare at the screen because your dream matters more than your fatigue. The times you speak up even with a trembling voice because your truth needs to be heard. Those are the real victories. You won't always feel strong, but you can act strong. You won't always feel brave, but you can choose courage. You won't always feel clear, but you can take one step in the right direction and trust that the path will reveal itself. And here's something most people never understand. You don't have to move fast to win. Speed is not the goal. Direction is. Some people sprint in circles their whole lives. But if you're crawling in the right direction, you're still moving forward. You're still becoming, you're still growing, even if it doesn't look impressive on the outside. Don't fall into the trap of comparison. You're not on their journey, you're on yours, and your pace is valid. Your process is valuable. Just because it looks different doesn't mean it's not working. There is no shame in slow progress. The only shame is quitting on yourself. Keep going, even when you doubt it's making a difference, even when it feels like your energy is wasted, even when you're surrounded by silence and you're wondering if anyone even notices, because the ones who win, the ones who truly transform their lives, they are the ones who kept moving long after the emotion faded, long after the support disappeared, long after the reasons turned into whispers. Consistency beats talent every time. Discipline beats inspiration. And the difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is simple. The ones who rise didn't stop when it got hard. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They didn't demand to feel good every day. They just kept going. You have to move even if you're scared. Move even if you're not ready. Move even if it's just one small step. Because forward is forward, and every time you keep going, you become the kind of person who doesn't back down. You create a reputation with yourself. I finish what I start. That trust, that self-respect, that's worth more than any external praise. So if you're hurting right now, if you're doubting, if you're dragging yourself through another day, wondering if this is going anywhere, let this be your reminder. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're building. Keep moving, even if it's ugly, even if it's slow, even if no one claps, even if no one believes in you yet, even if you're the only one who sees the vision, because eventually, what felt like struggle will become strength. What felt like weakness will become wisdom. And what felt like crawling will turn into flying. But you'll never reach that day if you stop now. So breathe deep, square your shoulders, and take the next step. You've got this. Just keep moving. Listen to me. This is not the end for you. This is not where your story stops. This is where the real you begins. The you that doesn't crumble under pressure. The you that doesn't bow to fear. The you that rises bloody tired, scarred but unbreakable. You've fallen? Good. That means you were in the fight. You're in pain? Good. That means you still care. You're moving slow? Good. That means you haven't quit. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a declaration. I'm still here. I'm not done. You're going to see what I'm made of. This life will not hand you what you deserve. It will test you, break you, silence you. But what matters is not what happens to you, it's what you do with it. Will you let the fall define you? Will you let the wound own you? Will you let the fear write your story? Or will you rise? Will you fight back, not with anger, but with action? Not with noise, but with results. Because deep down, you already know the truth. You were not built to break. You were built to dominate, to endure, to transform. So take the pain, take the doubt, take every failure, every rejection, every moment they said you wouldn't make it, and use it. Use it to build, to sharpen, to climb. Your story is not over. It's just getting started. So pick yourself back up. Stand tall and keep going. No matter how long it takes. No matter how many times you fall. No matter who doubts you. Because the world hasn't seen the best of you yet. But it will.